Manishma, what's up? Anashim Mishporka, Vayi Yisrael. We greet you. Shalom, shalom. Mashalomah to the men, mashalomah to the women. And we greet all of them of the house of Israel that are grafted in and in. And we celebrate today. Some are celebrating Hanukkah, and they're on the third lighting of the candle, I think, or fourth. And they're celebrating, but yet they're not really dedicating their high to be reinitiated for the new year, to be set apart, Kodesh, Kodeshim, and to be completely rededicated and reset apart again. They just celebrate it in one way and think of it one way, even in the Messianics, but they don't understand the significance of to be reinitiated, to be reevaluated. If you've been walking right the previous year, and you're going to walk continually closer to the Father the following new year. So we celebrate also, but at the same time, we are going to go to part 4 of this particular title that we're studying, the divisions of the Malakim and Shamayim and Eretz. We're learning so much, and I anticipate with excitement to study these next letters in the book of Jubilee. And we're going to be, basically, we're not magnified. I repeat, we're not magnifying the messengers to call on them, to pray to them, to speak their names. Not at all. We are showing you their gifts and ability that they have fell with, so when something pops up, you know who's behind it. And we do not call on any messengers, we call on Yahuwah, and if he sends a messenger to our aid, then so be it. But because according to the scriptures, it says, be careful, for some are entertaining messengers unawares, but also some are worshiping messengers. And we don't want to do that. But we're magnifying this so we can be aware, equipped, and know who are the ones that are involved in the corrupt things that are going on today in the system. So, brother, you want to open in prayer, please?
Yes, sir. Baruch atah Yahuwah Eloheinu melech haolam, asher kedeshanu b'mitzvotav v'tzivanu chatorah. Abba Yah, we come to you today. We ask that you be with us as we read the Torah and as we open your word up, Abba, in order to give esteem to your name. We thank you for all the Kodeshim that are here with us today, and for those who will come later on and listen to this broadcast. We thank you very much, Abba Yah. We ask that you will give them Hokmah, understanding in your Torah, understanding in all things that pertain to their life, why they are here today, why they are listening, and just be with them, Abba Yah, and keep your words in our mouth, that we may speak truth, Abba Yah, and that we may not go astray. In the Shema Yahushua HaMashiach, we give you thanks. Hallelujah.
Hallelujah. Praise Yah. Welcome to Eagles Haven Ministry. And we welcome you so much for tuning in live and are on the live chat in Zoom, but also them that are watching pre-recorded. We just praise the Father for the opportunity to have you come on YouTube and watch our pre-recorded. And our topical studies are not very seasonal. Sometimes they are, but most of the time they're topics that can be used 10, 15 years later. All right, so, and here you see on the screen the list of the 200 fallen, they say angelic, but Malakim beings, and we know that there's beings under others, and some are superior. And we know that there were 5 major fallen ones of the cherubims of the high command, and Hashatan was only one of the 5. So we are learning this in detail, and who is a part of it. Like what we have here, I'm going to show you like this one right here. I found out that the Kasedia, I put the most nicest picture, because the pictures are usually real gross, of this particular female fallen one. Some of the messengers had two organs, male and female, in their bodies, and some choose to be female, some choose to be male. Okay, but it's the ritual, the rite of Baal, which is abortion pills, a potion for women not to have babies, and to rip the stomachs open and kill the babies during human sacrifice to Baal, or to take the infant from birth and take it to the altar to Baal. All right, this is the fallen one assigned to that altar, and this one a brother mentioned last week too, but we didn't have no look, a little see. This is the one that the fallen messenger had a mighty one in the ocean, and he has these like octopus legs all around his body, and he's coming out of the ocean. Okay, so his name is like Abyss. Asbiel is his name. And then you got the Teriel, the one of the mountains. Okay, and my brother and I, we look at pictures of mountains that they look like a body squatting there, being drowned in water during the flood, and whole families just sitting there drowning because of the flood. So I just threw that in because that's the latest photographs I discovered on that. And what we're doing, we're defending the book of Enoch, the book of Israel, and other books, and Jubilee, because we're finding the name of the Father, the name of the Son. They call him the Son of Elohim or Aloha, the Son of the one that is the Creator. They have different names for Yahushua, but we're going to read probably next week, we don't know yet, Israel, he mentions the Son's name. And last week was so good what brother shared, the oath, the name that had power in the oath, which happened to be Yahuwah's name. And so we could interpret it to be the Son's name or the Father's name. It's hard to see that. But Michael and Gabriel, that were part of creation, of course, Hachatan too, they wanted the name to be revealed so they could swear by an oath before they went down to earth and took part on taking the sons of men's daughters and making them wives, and then the Nephalim were produced. That reading last week was so important about the name of the oath, because it shows that they know the true name of the Father and the Son. And I remember very specifically before brother reads that when we were in transition coming out, when we're casting demons out, and I'm not going to go in detail of all the different ones, but the main one that struck me is when I said, in the name of Yahushua, come out of that person, the demon screamed, you know the real name. With torment, it came out. But that's what it said, you know the real name. So it could play with me. Before, when we used to cast the devils out or try to cast devils out in the J9 name, you couldn't really tell if they really left or they're staying dormant or pretending they're asleep. You know what I mean, brother? Mm-hmm. You couldn't really tell. You had to really watch and monitor the people and do a few more deliverances. But I tell you right now, that lady that said that, and she got set free, her and her mother have a messianic fellowship in their home, and they're still going strong. And she's got a husband now and 2 children, and their ministry's going strong. And so, just to show you, when we're coming out, we were doing everything we can, throwing the kitchen sink at devils to cast them out. You know what I mean? Yeah. And the one that said, when we said Yahuwah and Yahushua, they screamed, you know the name. They freaked out. You know what I mean? And the reason why, because the name was in the oath.
Right. Well, they've been playing keep away for a long time.
What?
Yeah, they've been playing keep away, trying to keep away the name. So what we're gonna read here in chapter 4 is what happened before what was going on before the Malakim fell and came to the earth. And not all of them fell, but a lot of them fell that were over they had dominion over certain things in the earth, and were supposed to be helping us and watching over us and helping mankind. And that's why, you know, they call them watchers, because they had a certain task that they were supposed to perform and watch over, but then they begin to fall, and like brother and I were talking earlier, and we believe that some are still falling, right, brother?
Yeah.
That they're, even till this day, they're still falling. So let me go ahead and start chapter 4.
Chapter 4, tell them the book.
Okay, this is
Introduce the book to them.
This is Yobelim chapter 4, and I'm going to start reading this, and just remember that Yah counts by 7. He counts by sevens. In the third week, in the second Yubel, so the second Yubel means the second set of 7 years. So it takes 7 times 7 years to make one Yubel. So that's 50 years. So you got your first set of 7 years, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. That's week number 1. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. That's week number 2, and so on and so forth, all the way up to 7 weeks.
It's supposed to be 120 total jubilees, which is 6,000 years, right?
Right, something like that. We're going to hit that in just a minute. So it says, and in the third week, in the second Yubel, she gave birth to Cain, and in the fourth, she gave birth to Habel, to Abel. So that's in the second Jubilee, okay? And it's the fourth week and the fifth week. And she gave birth to, in the fifth week, she gave birth to her daughter, Awan. And in the first year of the third Yubel, Cain slew Abel, because Eloah accepted the offer of Abel and did not accept the offering of Cain. And he slew him in the field, and his blood cried out from the ground to the Shamayim, lamenting because he had slain him. So the nefesh is in the blood. So when the blood came out, the blood cried out to Yahuwah. So if you take the blood out of man or woman or any living being, they no longer exist on this earth. They exist in another place, but not on this earth. And Yahuwah reproved Cain because of Abel, because he had slain him, and he had made him a fugitive on the earth because of the blood of his brother, and he cursed him upon the earth. And on this account, it is written on the tablets of the Shamayim, cursed is he who smites his neighbor treacherously, and let all who have seen and heard say, so be it. And the man who has seen and has not declared, let him be accursed as the other. And for this reason, we announce when we come before Yahuwah, our Eloah, all the sin which is committed in the Shamayim and on the Aretz and in light and in darkness and everywhere. And Adam and his wife mourned for Abel 4 weeks of years. 4 weeks
now
of years.
Take that in thought there, man.
Yeah.
4 weeks of years.
So every one day.
14 years.
So 1 day is a year. Okay. 1 day is a year. So 4 weeks. So 7 years is 1 week. 7 years. You got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. Those 7 years is a jubilee. It's actually a week. It's so 1 week of years is 7 years.
28 years.
Right, exactly. So I can break it down, but we'd have to do it on another teaching. It takes a while for your mind to wrap around it, because we're not used to counting this way. Okay. So, and Adam and his wife mourned for Abel 4 weeks of years. So 4 times 7 is what? What is 4 times 7? 28. 28. So 28 years. And in the 4th year of the 5th week, and there's a reason why it's 28. There's a reason why it's 28 years, and it has to do with the generations, with the day, with the time that a person becomes Kodesh. When a woman has a child, it takes 14 weeks for a male, and 7 weeks for a male and 14 weeks for a female, for the cleansing of the body.
After the conception. Yeah,
right after
the blood cleansing.
The blood cleansing, and it's her purification time. But we'll get into that another time. Let's keep going. Abel, 4 weeks of year, and in the 4th year of the 5th week, they became joyful, and Adam knew his wife again, and she bore him a son, and he called his name Seth, for he said, Eloah has raised up a second seed for us on the earth instead of Abel, for Cain slew him. And in the 6th week, he brought forth his daughter Azurah. And Cain took Aban, the one that had been born before, his sister, to be his wife, and she bore him Hanuk. Okay, now if you notice, this is Cain. Hanuk, they have name, just like the messengers. So it is with Cain and Abel, with the seed of Cain and the seed of Seth now. So with these two seeds, they're gonna have similar names. So this Hanuk is not the Hanuk that wrote this book. This is the Hanuk from the seed of Cain, not from the Kodesh seed, okay, not from the seed of Seth, but from the seed of Cain. And so verse number 9, and Cain took Aban, his sister, to be his wife, and she bore him Hanuk, but not this Hanuk, at the close of the 4th Yubel, and in the 1st year of the 1st week of the 5th Yubel. So now we're in the 5th Yubel. So each Jubilee is 50 years. So 5 times 5, you get 250. So they're in the 250th year since the fall of mankind. Okay, because before the fall of mankind, we were in eternity. Adam was in eternity. So there's no way so you cannot keep time in eternity. Okay, our time is all together. Okay, so in the 5th Yubel, dwellings were built on the Aretz, and Cain built a city and called its name after the name of his son Hanuk. This is Hanuk from Cain, not Hanuk from Seth. And Adam knew Hawa, his wife, and she bore a further 9 sons. So far we know that she's had 3 sons
Genesis
and 2 daughters, right? She had Cain and Abel, and then she had Seth, and then before she had Awan, the girl, and then Aban. Okay, so she has 2 girls and 3 boys so far, and now Adam knew his wife, and she bore a further 9 sons. So that's 14 children altogether that I'm counting. And in the 5th week of the 5th Yubel, Seth took Azurah, his sister, to be his wife. And in the 4th year of the 6th week, she bore Enoch. He began to call on the name of Yahuwah on the Aretz.
Ponder this.
Yeah.
Because some people say that calling on the name was until Moshe or other people. But according to this, it was in the beginning.
I would go as far as to say that this was a different people than what you see today.
Yeah.
I'm talking about spiritually and physically. But it became corrupt, as we all know, because the flood's going to come because of the corruption. But these people, I'm thinking they're walking around breathing 4 more pounds of oxygen than we are today, which makes them a lot bigger than us.
Yeah, heal faster, grow taller.
Yeah, you get a wound and you heal immediately. And he began to call on the name, verse number 12. Enoch began to call on the name of Yahuwah on the Aretz. And in the 7th Yubel, in the 3rd week, Enoch took Noam, his sister, to be his wife. And she bore him a son in the 3rd year, in the 5th week. And he called his name Kenan. And at the close of the 8th Yubel, Kenan took Mu'alaleth, his sister, to be his wife. And she bore him a son in the 9th Yubel, and in the first week of the 3rd year of this week, and he called his name Mahalalel. And in the 2nd week of the 10th Yubel, Mahalalel took as wife Dinah, the daughter of Barikeel, the daughter of his father's brother.
Now, that's the same name of one of the messengers.
Right. That's the same name of one of the mighty ones.
Yeah.
And she bore him a son in the 3rd week in the 6th year, and he called his name Yered. For in his days, okay, so when was this? So this is a clue of how to keep time, because it's going to tell you what time it was. As a matter of fact, some of the books tell you how old Noah, Noah was when the flood came.
All of them, yeah.
Yeah. And she bore him a son in the 3rd week in the 6th year, and she called his name Yered. For in his days the messengers of Yahuwah descended on the Arets, those who are named the Watchers.
Wow.
Yeah.
So Adam saw this.
Oh, yeah.
And his sons, they saw this thing going on.
Yeah, they saw all everything that was happening. They lived almost all the way through it. Well, they did live all the way through it.
Yeah.
You know, until right before the flood. Right before the flood, Yahuwah took all of the patriarchs and the righteous men and women. He took them off the face of the earth. He did not keep them on the earth. It says that he took them off the face of the earth, and for what reason? So that they would not see their bloodline perish, because a lot of their bloodline were not believers. So
and they would cry out and intercede,
right.
And the Father might listen to
Methuselah. If they cried out and intercede, the Father might save their brothers and sisters. Remember, Cain and Abel were brothers and sisters. All these, even the wicked, some of them are cousins, aunts, and uncles and stuff. Okay, so Yah removed all the righteous in order that they would not cry out to Yahuwah, and Yahuwah would stop the flood. So Yahuwah, it says that the messengers of Yahuwah descended. So these are the sons of Eloah, descended on the Arets, those who are named the Watchers, that they should instruct the children of men. Okay, so that's what we were talking about earlier. Remember, I was saying that they were put here on this earth and have dominion over certain things to watch over man, to help man, but instead they fell. That they should instruct the children of men, and that they should do right ruling and uprightness on the earth. And in the 11th Yubel, Yered took a wife, and her name was Berakah. So she was a Berakah, the daughter of Rusayal, a daughter of his father's brother, in the 4th week of this Yubel. And she bore him a son in the 5th week, in the 4th year of the Yubel, and he called his name Hanuk. So this is the 7th from Adam. If you count the Jubilees, one day maybe brother and I can do a video about that. You can count all the Jubilees, and of course Hanuk was the 7th one born from Adam, and he was the first among men that are born on the Arets, who learned writing and knowledge and wisdom, and who wrote down the signs of the Shamayim according to the order of their months in a book, that men might know the seasons of the years according to the order of their separate months. And he was the first to write a witness, and he witnessed to the sons of men among the generations of the year, and recounted the weeks of the Yobelim, and made known to them the days of the years, and put in order the months, and recounted the Shabbatoth of the years. The Shabbatoth is the high Shabbat. That's what I was talking about a while ago. A Shabbatoth is a week of years. It's 7 weeks made from years, not from days. So we are in weeks of days right now. So we count a week by 7 days. Weeks of years counts a week by 7 years, is 1 week. So the Shabbatot is the 7th one, is the 7th week. That's the big Shabbat. Shabbatot of years. And we made known to him. Verse number 19. And what was and what shall be, he saw in the vision of his sleep, as it shall happen to the children of men throughout their generations until the day of judgment. So he literally saw the future and wrote down all the months, all the years, the way the sun and the moon and the stars go in and out, the way that they do not deviate, they do not transgress the law of Yahuwah, but they do it in lockstep, order by, and they do not sway to the left nor to the right. And this is the way that we should be, that all mankind was made to be that way. All mankind was made to have the law of Yahuwah written on our hearts, so that we don't have to go and read a Torah to know what's right and wrong. It's supposed to be written inside of us. Okay, so he saw and understood all, and wrote his witnesses, and placed the witnesses on the earth for all the children of men and for their generations. And verse number 20, and in the 5th Yubel, in the 7th week, he took a wife, and her name was Edni, the daughter of Daniel, the daughter of his father's brother. And in the 6th year, in this week, she bore him a son, and he called his name Methuselah. And he was furthermore with the messengers of Eloah these 6 Yobelim of years. So, and they showed him all which is in the Aretz and in the Shamayim, the rule of the sun, and he wrote it all down. And he witnessed to the watchers who had sinned with the daughters of men, for these had begun to unite themselves so as to be defiled with the daughters of men, and Hanuk witnessed against them all.
Now remember when Brother read last week the details, they made an oath to agreement that they all have to do it. If 5 or 10 would not do it, they wouldn't do it. They had to make an oath to all go take the daughters of men and make these half-breeds. Now Miguel said, "What, brother? I ain't no partaking of this."
Right, I'm not going to be a part of it. I'll tell you his name. So he had been invited. Brother and I talked about this earlier, that he is, so Mikael, I'm sure the other messengers had invited him to be part of their fall, but he said no, that he was not going to do that, but that they asked him for the name of Yahuwah and the name of Yahushua, and they made the oath. They made an oath in the name, okay, and bound themselves in that name. So, and what name should we be calling on? If we're going to call on Yahuwah, well, we should be calling on the right name. And he was taken from among, verse number 23. So this is Hanuk, okay, who witnessed against all of them. So he was witnessing against Malakim. Not only that, his one of his grandfathers, Yered, in the book of Hanuk or Yasher, talks about him actually witnessing and actually teaching these spirits. He had power over them. He had dominion over them.
They actually trembled at his presence. So Hanuk and Methuselah, there was something on them.
Right.
There was something powerful that they could not ignore.
Yeah.
They knew who they were.
Right. Right. Okay, verse number 23. And he was taken from among the children of men, and we conducted him into the Garden of Eden. What? in majesty and honor. And see, there he writes down the condemnation and judgment of the world. Oh, okay, who does this? Who is this? Brother, who is that?
It's Enoch.
It's Enoch. It's Enoch, okay? So then people think, oh, we can never become like Yahushua. We can never be Kodesh. Oh yeah, you can. Yes, you can. If we really want, that is my goal, and it should be everybody's goal who's listening to this, to be as Kodesh as Yahushua. I mean, even Shaul said, man, that which I wish to do, I do not do. And that which I wish not to do, I do. But nevertheless, he's going to keep fighting the good fight. And that's what we got to do. But we got to come to this place where we are Kodesh too. And
the scripture says repeatedly, I don't even have to turn to it to show you. It says, be Kodesh, for I'm Kodesh, says Yahuwah. Be perfect, for I'm perfect, says Yahuwah. Over and over again, it says that we have to be Kodesh, we have to be perfected. And, the word perfect, people say, no one's perfect, we're only human. That is so unscriptural, people. That is not scriptural. Because if the scripture says, be perfect, for I'm perfect, which perfect means mature, growing up. You slip and fall, dust your knee, get up and keep going. You don't dwell there and cry about it, okay? So mature, slip, fall, get up, keep going. That's being perfect, for I'm perfect, says Yahuwah, right? Be set apart, for I'm set apart, says Yahuwah. But they say, no one's perfect. I'm not perfect. We're only human. But the word human is not in the scriptures. Human comes from the word of humanist, humanistic. People that believe they can have enough knowledge and become a God, a mighty one. Okay? That's what they teach. Okay? The Humanist Manifesto. You can look it online. You want to watch the book, read the book. There's one from a Christian writer. He breaks down the details in our public school system, teaching Humanist Manifesto ways in the material of the education, right? So they can break away from Aloha and try to be a mighty one themselves, right? So now he's going to keep reading verse 24.
I'm going to reread 23 again. And he was taken from among the children of men. I got to read this again. I'm sorry, brother. I get excited over this verse right here is awesome. And he was taken from among the children of men, not from among the watchers, but from among the children of men. And we conducted him into the Garden of Eden in majesty and honor. And see, he writes down the condemnation and judgment of the world and all the wickedness of the children of men. I just want to show y'all something just really quick. This Enoch has the characteristics of Yahushua. I mean, he has if you read it carefully, he has the majesty in that, the honor, and he writes down the condemnation and judgment of the world. Who's able to condemn and to judge the world but Yahushua?
And he was able to go in the garden and see the tree and see the place that his Abba fell.
Right, that's right.
Eyewitness news there.
That's right. And remember, it says that there were cherubim that were
blocking the
way,
but they allowed him in.
That's right. So I'm just saying, this is another place in time. I mean, it happened here on this earth, but the earth did not look the way that it does today. I believe that this was just a whole different time altogether, and that throughout time there's been different times like this. And anyways, I'm going to go off on a tangent.
This is before the earth split, so it's one piece of earth surrounded by ocean. So
okay, and on account of it, Eloah brought the waters of the flood upon all the land of Eden, for For there he was appointed as a sign that he should witness against all the children of men, and that he should recount all the deeds of the generations until the day of condemnation. Wow, man! When I read this, it sounds like Yahushua. I mean, it just gets.
Yeah, but we know it's not. But yet, he's very. He doesn't die either.
Right. He doesn't die. Right. And he burned the incense of the mikdash, sweet spices, acceptable before Yahuwah on the mountain. For Yahuwah has 4 places on the Aretz: the Garden of Eden, the mountain of the east, and this mountain on which you are this day, Mount Sinai, and Mount Zion, which shall be Kodesh in the new creation for a Kodeshah of the earth, of the Aretz. Through it the Aretz shall be Kadosh from all guilt and its uncleanness throughout the generations of the world. And in the 14th Yubel, Methuselah took a wife, Edna, the daughter of Azriel, which is another one of the name of the mighty ones.
That's right.
Of the fallen ones. The daughter of his father's brother, in the 3rd week, in the 1st year of this week, and he brought forth a son and called his name Lamech. And in the 15th Yubel, in the 3rd week, Lamech took a wife, and her name was Betonos, the daughter of Barikiel, the daughter of his father's brother. And this week she bore him a son, and he called his name Noach, saying, this one shall comfort me for my trouble and all my work, and for the ground which Yahuwah has cursed. Remember, because of the fall of Cain, right?
And Adam too.
Right, and Adam, that the earth is going to grow thorns and thistles. So, anyways, verse number 29. And at the close of the 19th Yubel, in the 7th week, in the 6th year, Adam died, and all his sons buried him in the land of his creation, and he was the first to be buried in the Aretz.
Wow.
He was the first to be buried.
Now, this is the 19 times 50.
Right, 19 times 50 years, which is almost
the 7th week.
Which is almost what, almost 1,000 years later.
Yeah.
Almost 1,000 years later.
900 something.
Right. So Adam was the first one to be buried in the earth, and he died in the 19th Yubel, which
so
19 times 50 is
years
what?
Plus
950.
7 weeks. It says it in verse 30. He was less 70 years from 1,000 years.
Okay, that makes him 930 years. Yeah. That makes him 930 years old.
Because the Jubilees, you got to count backwards.
Right. You know, I have to look at the chart because I get confused. I'm not going to, I get confused.
Because when it says it was on the 19th Jubilee, that means they were working on the 19th Jubilee.
Exactly. They were working.
On the 7th week in 6th year.
Right. Exactly. You're right, brother.
Yeah.
So they were working on it. They weren't there yet.
Yeah, they hadn't completed yet.
Yeah. Verse number 30. And he was less 70 years. Oh, no, we were.
Yeah, you're right. Read it.
That's it. Okay. And he was less 70 years from 1,000. For 1,000 years are as one day in the witness of the Shamayim. Let me read that one more time. And he was less 70 years old from 1,000 years. For 1,000 years are as one day. And what did Yahuwah say? In the day that you eat of that, you shall what? Die. Okay, and
so he's still in the Shamayim record in one day.
Yeah, and in the Shamayim record, 1,000 years is as a day, and his days as 1,000 years. And here it is, right here. And this is why they don't want you reading this, because this is, even though it's not one of the books that are canonized, but you know what? This book is scriptural. And nowhere in the other 66 books does it say this. Nowhere. Okay, but here it does. And he was less 70 years from 1,000 years, for 1,000 years are as one day in the witness of the Shamayim, and therefore was it written concerning the tree of knowledge. On the day that you eat of it, you shall die. For this reason, he did not complete the years of this day. So Adam was not allowed to go past the year, this Jubilee. He was not allowed to go past it. Because once that Jubilee would have hit, that day, that first day would have been over with. Okay, for he died during it. At the close, verse number 31, at the close of this Yubel, Cain was killed after him in the same year. So Yah's judgment came swiftly. Okay, so Yah did not allow for Hawa and Adam to see the death of their son, of their other son, Cain.
Even though he killed his brother.
Even though he killed his brother, Yahuwah is so compassionate. Yahuwah is so good. There is none like him. There is none like him. Yahuwah even had compassion on them. Even though he killed Abel, he still had compassion. It says, at the close of this Yubel, Cain was killed after him in the same year, for his house fell upon him, and he died in the midst of his house. Right, and he died in the midst of his house, and he was killed by its stones. For with a stone he had killed Abel, and by a stone he was killed in righteous judgment. For this reason it was ordained on the tablets of the Shamayim, with the instrument with which a man kills his neighbor, with the same shall he be killed. After the manner that he wounded him, in like manner shall they deal with him. And in the 25th Yubel, Noah took a wife, and her name was Imzara, and the daughter of Rakael, the daughter of his father's brother, in the first year, in the 5th week, and in the 3rd year, she bore him Shem. In the 5th year, she bore him Ham. And in the 1st year, in the 6th week, she bore him Yafet. Okay, and it came to be, chapter number 5. And it came to be, when the children of men began multiplying on the face of the Aretz, and daughters were born to them, that the messengers of Eloah saw them on a certain year of this Yubel, that they were lovely to look upon, and they took themselves wives of all whom they chose, and they bore unto them sons, and they were giants. The law and lawless increased on the earth, and all flesh corrupted its way alike. And men and cattle and beasts and birds and all that walks on the Aretz, all of them corrupted their ways and their orders, and they began to devour each other, and lawlessness increased on the Aretz, and every imagination of the thoughts of all men was only evil continually. Now, what do you think, brother, where it says here, and they begin to devour each other?
They were killing and eating each other. They were eating everything.
Cannibalism, right?
They were huge. They take man like a popsicle. Take his clothes off and then swallow his butt. You know what I mean?
Yeah. Eat them whole. Eat them whole. They're crazy. So verse number 3. And Elohim looked upon the Aretz, and see, it was corrupt, and all flesh had corrupted its orders, and all that were upon the Aretz had wrought all kinds of evil before his eyes. And he said, I shall destroy man and all flesh upon the face of the Aretz, which I have created. But Noah found favor before the eyes of Yahuwah, and against the messengers whom he had sent upon the Aretz, he was exceedingly wroth. And he gave a command to root them out of all their reign. And he commanded us to bind them in the depths of the earth, and see, they are bound in the midst of it and are kept separate. And against their sons went forth a command from before his face, that they should be smitten with the sword and be removed from under the Shamayim. And he said, your spirit shall not always abide on man, for they are flesh, and their days shall be 120 years. And he sent his...
And what is that? It's 120 Jubilees.
120 Jubilees?
Yeah, 6,000 years.
Right, exactly. So if you take 6,000 years and you divide it by 120, what do you get?
50
Jubilees.
120 Jubilees. 120 Jubilees.
No. And he sent his sword into their midst. This is verse number 9. And he set his sword into their midst, that each should slay his neighbor. And they began to slay each other till they all fell by the sword and were destroyed from the Aretz. So let me ask you something, brother. Was everybody on the earth like this?
You mean
was everybody on the earth like this?
Yeah, but they're not.
Or were they regular humans?
We're not part Nephalim. Only their sons were Nephalim.
Right.
Because some mated with fish and they created monsters in the sea.
So my question. So let me rephrase. So do you think that meant that all the other bloodlines, except for the bloodline of Noah and Shem and Seth, Noah, Seth, Hanuk, all the way back to Adam, was that the only clean bloodline? Had they corrupted all the other bloodlines?
I believe they corrupted most of the bloodline, and if they weren't corrupted in the way of their blood, their gene, they became servants of those mighty ones. They were serving the mighty ones.
Yeah. But they were worshiping them.
Yeah.
They were worshiping them. So the daughters of men who the Nephilim joined themselves to, they had the giants. Okay, and they were the ones that the men were serving. Was those, what it says, the men of renown, men of name of a long time ago. That's who they're talking about, are the fallen ones. So my question still is there so if they're worshiping them, is their blood tainted?
They gotta be.
It's gotta be, right?
They're not serving you no more.
I'm asking, brother, this because I want to provoke your mind to think. And if you don't have these books,
they can devour each other. Now, in the Hindu and their beliefs, the gods fought each other. There were 19 in the beginning. Now, in Egyptian, it's the same way. Their mighty ones fought each other.
Horus and all these.
Yeah, until they got down to the main ones.
The same thing in Greek mythology.
Same thing in Greek mythology, right? So they're actually telling a story, but changed a little bit in their religious thinking, different from right here of what it's sharing. You know what I mean?
Right.
These principalities. The Father said the best way they destroy each other. Let them devour each other.
10, it says, and their fathers were witnesses of their destruction. And after this, they were bound in the depths of the earth forever, until the day of the great condemnation, when judgment is executed on all those who have corrupted their ways and their works before Yahuwah. And he destroyed all from their places, not one remained of them whom he did not judge according to all their wickedness. And he appointed for all his works a new and righteous nature, so that they should not sin in their whole nature forever, but should be all righteous, each in his kind way,
so
and his kind always.
If I may input it, because after the flood, there was no more crossbreeding, supposedly. But there were some, they say, got in the DNA of one of the sons of Noach. It was in the DNA and it popped up later.
Right.
Others say that they have a way to be able to hibernate in the earth. When the earth was flooded, they were sealed in compartments in the earth. And 100 years later, after the flood, they came out again. So that's another theory, because we don't have nothing in print. How come they resurfaced?
Right, or how did they resurface?
Right.
If the blood of Noah was pure and his sons, and of course the daughters, how did that happen? Yeah.
You know?
And so even today, I mean, you're right. What you said a while ago about so Yah made it to where we could not do this, splice the gene until around the 1960s. Around the 1960s, they began to mess with splicing the cells.
So I put this picture up here, right?
Mm-hmm.
Where people have done their own logical tracking, where the sons of Cush became giants, the Mizrahims and the Philistines were giants. Put had 7 that they were questionable, and many giants were the Amorites through Cain. So how in the world they were in the DNA, in the wives? What happened? You know, It's like I got an orphanage we take care of in Congo, and a black man and woman had albino children, twins, 2 girls, and they were babies when I first started supporting them. Now they're like 12 years old. They're tall and big, but they're albinos. And the father and mother don't know when their ancestors had white blood. They don't know. They have no record. My great grandfather did it. You know what I mean? So how did that happen? Is somewhere in the DNA. It slipped through the cracks.
All it takes is not maybe a part of I don't know. I'm not a scientist, but the chromosomes, there's 22 from the mother and 22 from the father. So all it takes is one little.
And the father wills it. He's I'm gonna bring some albinos in your batch.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? And some people become albino later. They get 40, 50 years old and their skin turns completely white.
Yeah.
They gradually turn albino,
Right.
And so I'm showing this picture of that. Let me get back to the word. And then,
so the children of Noah, apparently Noah and his sons were Kodesh. I mean, they were they were of the right of the.
But we really don't know nothing about the daughters.
About who?
The daughters.
About the daughters.
They were their sisters.
Yeah, I'm not sure.
Yeah, we don't know.
I don't know. That I do not know.
Verse 12, because we know the father changed. He locked up the messengers that saw the daughters of men and took them. And we don't know if they romanced them.
Or what they did.
Or raped them or took them and flew away with them, what? But man from that forward, it looks like even before the flood, but after the flood we know that man cannot see the messengers no more. It cannot communicate no more.
Right. But they were before.
They were.
Yeah, they were able to see into that realm. I believe that realm is still here, but we can't see it.
Yeah, he closed our eyes to it, and he shut up the chromosomes of all creation. So one species cannot be with another species.
Right.
So if the fallen ones made Nephalim, and that Nephalim, he tries to get another woman, they get smaller. To eventually they become almost our size.
Right.
Like Goliath was only 12, 14 feet, they say maybe 16. He wasn't 32. 28, 36.
Right.
You know, so right here, 12:13, it was written in the tablets of Tamalim in Shamayim that things are going to change,
Right.
and the flood fixed it. You know what I mean?
Right.
But then they popped up again.
So now, supposedly, we're back as in the days of Noah, because now they're splicing the gene now. They're splicing the
They're
plants.
doing it.
They're splicing they're taking the cells and splicing them. So you have you have cloning, and you have all kinds of stuff.
They went to Iraq and went to Gilgamesh, which is Nimrod, tomb.
Right.
They took his giant body, the British and Americans, and they took DNA to make super soldiers.
Right, and
Which
all that's
hasn't
hush
happened yet.
hush. All of that is hush hush, because they want to make these awesome soldiers.
Right.
That's their
Super soldiers.
Yeah, they wanna-
super soldiers.
so I mean, it's really corrupt, and it's kind of like back in the day when we used to talk about certain things that were going on, and people would say, "Oh, y'all are a bunch of conspiracy theorists." What did they say that aluminum hat wearing, or what was that? You know, that we were crazy. But now they're like, "Oh, you know what? Yeah, we knew that. We've heard that a long time ago." You know, so now it's like no big deal. The same thing now with what they're doing with the cloning and the stem cells and all this. Yeah, now you know, and it sounds incredibly just unbelievable. Well, in a few years from now, in 4 or 5 years, they're going to say, "Oh, that's nothing. We already knew about that." But today, if you tell people about that, it's unbelievable.
Because everything they do is to replicate the creation.
Right.
That's what they always do. And in the war with Moshe, the only thing they could replicate was the mites, microscopic.
Right, but now they can.
And now they can.
Now they can. Now they're
The little nano dust.
right. So you know a cell. Our whole bodies are made out of what is that? 50 billion.
And you can see them on the
cells or
screen
something.
right now.
That's what.
Get scared.
Yeah.
Go
That's
on.
what you know. So your body, every 7 years, you're another person. You have new cells.
Right,
Your body-
every 7 years.
Every 7
called a
years, your body
lifetime.
regenerates all 50 million, billion, quadrillion cells, however many cells there are. You know, if your body regenerates itself, and all your cells renew. And this is how they get you to eat these certain foods that have these microorganisms and stuff in them. I know I'm talking crazy, but I'm telling you the truth. They're doing this. They're putting this this unkodesh stuff in the food, and after 7 years, once 7 years passes, it's changing they're trying to change the stem cell. They're trying to change the cells in your body.
Right.
To reproduce whatever they want it to reproduce, in order to splice man and machine, or however you want to call it. I know it sounds crazy.
Yeah, look,
But
And they own the patent.
right.
And if they own the patent, that means they own the person after 7 years in the
Right.
mutation.
You no longer belong to you. Go ahead.
Well, Brother Lamette put it in the chat. It's CRISPR, CRISPR, gene editing, genetic engineering technique in molecular biology,
There you
in
go.
which they're able to manipulate like the what do you call it? Genomes
Yeah.
of
The
living
genome.
organisms.
Yeah.
So they're able to modify those. So it's that program called CRISPR.
Well, shoot, it's more. So I used to read about this stuff all the time. There was this one guy who was a stem cell researcher. He was the granddaddy of this research in the universities, and they actually banned him and banned his videos and took him off of YouTube, because this guy was saying he was an atheist. He was a straight up an atheist. But after him doing the stem cell research, I forget his name. I'm gonna find him and I'll talk about it next week. But this guy, after going through that program, he became a believer because he said his whole thing was that, man, he goes, I was an atheist. He goes, but I could not figure out how these stem cells were multiplying. I knew there was an energy or a force there that was making these cells multiply on their own, and so they were researching and searching, and they said, and he said, my final conclusion was that there is a God. That was his final conclusion. So when the university asked him, he said, well, there is a God that's making this happen. And they said, okay, you're out of here. Right. They didn't want him around. Yeah. So they kicked him out.
In this picture, the guy circles one of the women. He circles one of the women. That's how they got in. You know what I mean?
Oh, yeah.
Yeah. So
I don't know if I would believe that. I don't know. You know what?
I tend to believe that that something happened where it says that I kind of believe that they were hibernated and came out of the flood, because there's video footage showing huge deep underground bomb shelters, and the reporters saying to Governor Jose Ventura, and Jose Ventura asks the people, well, did you make it this way? Why did you make it 30 feet high? He said, no, we found it.
Oh, wow.
The columns this high.
Yeah.
We found these deep underground.
Wow.
So they discovered a deep underground bunker that was pre-flood. And they're reusing them today as bomb shelters.
Well, I mean, that's remember the earth right now, most of it is unusable, because most of it is the ocean, it's the sea, and it's uninhabitable to man. Let me say that again. It's uninhabitable. We do not wear the right clothes to live in the sea. Okay? So so most of the earth is uninhabitable to man. And before the flood, all that was habitable. It was habitat. There were men living throughout the whole earth. So can you imagine what the population was like back then?
Yeah.
I mean,
you live 900 years, you're gonna make a lot of babies.
Yeah, you live 900 years. You're 700 and something years old. I mean, these guys, Noah and his wife were 500 years old when they got married, and they were popping them out left and right. So the whole earth was being used up. And men think that today we are at the crescendo of humanity. No, we're not. No, we are not. There was another earth here before.
There was more earth, too.
There was more earth for more people.
Land mass.
Yeah. So,
okay, you want to go down to 13?
To 13? Okay, let's go to 13.
Oh, you started. Let's read 12 again. We left off.
Okay. And he appointed for all his works a new and righteous nature, so that they should not sin in their whole nature forever, but should be all righteous, each in his kind always.
They would crossbreed.
So they were unable to crossbreed like back then, but now they're doing it again because they're splicing the gene.
Yeah,
and they're sticking the stuff in the food for us to eat it, to change our cells, to change our stems, our cells. And the judgment, verse number 13. And the judgment of all is ordained and written on the tablets of the Shamayim in righteousness, even the judgment of all who depart from the path which is ordained for them to walk in. And if they do not walk therein, judgment is written down for every creature and for every kind. And there is none in the Shamayim or on the Aretz or in the light or in the darkness or in the grave or in the depth or in the place of darkness, which is not judged. And all your judgments are ordained and written and engraved. In regard to all, he shall rightly rule, the great according to his greatness, the small according to his smallness, and each according to his way. And he is not one who shall regard the face of any, nor is he one who shall receive bribes. if he says that he shall execute judgment on each, if one gave all that is on the earth, he shall not regard the bribes or the face of any, nor accept any matter at his hands, for he is a righteous judge. And of the children of Israel, it has been written and ordained, if they turn to him in righteousness. Okay, who is this? The children of Israel. Okay, the spiritual children who are born again. Okay, if they shall turn to him in righteousness, he shall forgive all their transgressions and pardon all their sins. It is written and ordained that he shall show kindness to all who turn from all their guilt once each year. That was during the day of what? What was that? Once each year was which? The Day of Atonement. Okay, but now we have Yahushua. We are in another age. Okay, this was all during the Day of Atonement. So let me read that again. It is written and ordained that he shall show kindness to all who turn from all their guilt once a year. But now that veil has been torn and we can come to Yahushua. And as for all, but we're still going to keep the Day of Atonement. It didn't say that it was done away with. It didn't say, oh, you shall no longer do the day of Yom Kippur. Yom Kippurim is still valid. And that's right, as a remembrance. We are still to keep all the feasts, okay?
It's a great memorial.
Right, as a great remembrance to Yahuwah. And for all those who corrupted their ways and their thoughts before the flood, no man's face was accepted. None was forgiven. Let me read that one more time. And go ahead, hon.
No, it says Noah alone.
Right.
So
well,
if
Noah
people
alone.
had favor, they had Noah's family. They had favor because of Noah, but it was really Noah that was counted righteous.
Right, in all his generation.
Yeah.
His seed had not been corrupted.
Noah.
So that leads me to believe that all seed on the earth was corrupt. I don't know. I'm just, I mean,
I believe that some of Methuselah's sons weren't, some of Enoch's sons weren't.
Yeah, man. Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Just like today, what we can say.
They were seeing them.
Yeah, they were
They
actually
were seeing them coming.
Yeah.
Hey, run to the house now. Get in the
Yeah.
house. Don't look out the window right now. I'm going to
Yeah,
talk to this guy and tell him to get on with his bad self.
Yeah. Could you imagine having to hide your kids and your
Your
wife and your
daughters.
daughters and everything from these crazy maniacs? I mean, wow, what a world to live in. I lost my place thinking about all
Verse 19.
Verse 19. And as for all those who corrupted their ways and their thoughts before the flood, no man's face was accepted except for that of Noah alone. For his face was accepted in behalf of his sons, whom Noah saved from the waters of the flood on his account. For his heart was righteous in all his ways, accordingly as it was commanded regarding him. And he had not departed from any matter that was ordained for him. And Yahuwah said that he would destroy all which was upon the arets, both men and cattle and beasts and birds of the air, and that which moves on the earth. And he commanded Noah to make himself an ark, that he might save himself from the waters of the flood. And Noah made the ark in all respects, and he commanded him in the 27th Yubel of years, in the 5th week, in the 5th year. 27 Yubels, how much is that? That's 27 times 50. 27 times 50. That's how many years it is. In the 27th Yubel of years, in the 5th week, in the 5th year of the new moon of this month, of this first month, and he entered in the 6th year, in the 2nd month, on the new moon of the 2nd month, till the 16th, and he entered, and all that we brought to him into the ark, and Yahuwah closed it from without on the 17th evening. On the 17th evening, during the evening. Remember the Yahuwah, Bayahi Erev, Bayahi Boker. Then there was evening, Bayahi Erev. There was evening, Bayahi Erev, evening, Bayahi Boker. Boker is morning. There was evening in the morning, and that was the first day, second day, third day. Okay, and Yahuwah opened 7 windows of the Shamayim and the mouths of the fountains of the great deep, 7 mouths in number. And the windows began to pour down water from the Shamayim 40 days and 40 nights. Now imagine this. Think about this. 4 windows begin to pour down water from the Shamayim. So it must have been a horrible sight. They looked up. There was a hole in the.
We saw a river coming down from the sky.
A waterfall just beating down. Maybe it was a mile long, a mile wide. Maybe it was 10 miles wide, or 20, or 100 miles wide. Who knows? But this thing was pouring down, and it was blasting the earth and scattering everything all over the place. Like if you would go outside and pour your water hose on top of a anthill and just watch them all drown and splatter all over the place. Okay,
Mud flood them.
Yeah, flood them. He flooded the earth out just like that, and probably worse than that. And the windows began to pour down water from the Shamayim 40 days and 40 nights. It wasn't like this little pitter-patter rain. No, sir. And the fountains of the deep also sent up waters. Water was shooting up out of the earth until the whole earth was filled with water. And the waters increased upon the Aretz 15 amah. The waters rose above all the high mountains, and the ark was lifted up above the Aretz, and it moved upon the face of the waters. And the waters were mighty on the face of the Aretz 5 months, 150 days. And the ark went and rested on the top of Lubad. Just to let you know, I'm not going to go through it, but all of this, what I've been reading, I'm going to give you a secret. It's a calendar. Okay? Everything I'm reading right now, the whole thing is a calendar. And the ark went and rested on the top of Lubad, one of the mountains of Ararat. And on the new moon of the 4th month, the fountains of the great deep were closed, and the windows of the Shamayim were restrained. And on the new moon of the 7th month, all the mouths of the abyss of the earth were open, and the water began to descend into the deep below. And on the new moon of the 10th month, the tops of the mountains were visible. And on the new moon of the 1st month, the earth became visible. And the waters disappeared from above the Aretz in the 5th week in the 7th year. And on the 17th day in the 2nd month, the earth was dry. And on the 27th, he opened the ark and sent out from it beasts and cattle and birds and every moving creature. Hallelujah. That is the end of these 2 chapters.
Wow, let's ponder this. This is very powerful. Now, even though it's the story, we had to read the story of Noach and the earth filled with water and the fountains opened up and everything else. Right now, they complain about Phoenix, Arizona, and water. But yet, Phoenix is the lowest part, just like LA is the lowest part of that area. And the water, everything goes down, flowing from the mountains. They say only a few hundred feet, you can tap into a river of water under us. So there's a plate of earth.
Oh, yeah.
There's plates of earth on top.
Right.
And the water's underneath, like pressure holding us up.
Right. And there's pockets in between those plates. And they call those aquifers. Okay. Right. So you can drill down into the earth and hit one of these aquifers, and you have an unlimited amount of water. They know this. So they're full of what when they're sitting there telling you, we're running out of water, there's no more water. There is enough water to flood us again. Okay? Yeah. The Yah's arm is not short, okay, of anything. There is more than enough. He made this earth able to sustain us for who knows how long, through eternity. Okay, when the next Shamayim comes, where's it coming to? Right here on the Aretz. Right here, it's coming down here. Okay, remember they say we saw the new Yerushalayim coming down. Okay, so anyways, I just wanted to put that out there, that they're lying to us when they tell us that we're going to run out of water. We're not going to run out of water. You know, now what's going to happen is Yahuwah is going to allow this thing to hit the earth that pollutes so much of the fresh water that men are going to be thirsting, but are not going to be able to die or something like that. I can't remember exactly what it says. I have to go back and read it.
And so, they don't want us to multiply. They want to depopulate. They lie to people about the water because they want it to be a ball earth. They don't realize no one's got more than 8 miles underneath us. We're in the depths of the sea and things like that. So as you see in the picture, this is what we just closed. But then there's been a resurface. And Yahushua said, as the days of Noah, so shall it be.
Right.
So it's happening now.
Right. The earth is the earth is being corrupt, as you know. All the food that is being put on the grocery shelves by Monsanto's and other corporations like this is to change your DNA, and is to change our DNA. So we really have to be kosher and watch what we're eating. Read all the ingredients. Don't just eat stuff. Read, if you can make your own beans, make your own beans. You can make your own rice. If you can make your own tortillas or bread or whatever, make it and bake it yourself.
That's right.
You can, if you have the ability to do these things, do it. Do it, because everything that they're doing is to corrupt the seed. It's to corrupt us. We are back as in the days of Noah. It's complete lawlessness. You got them teaching pornographic videos to kids in school, telling them that a man can be with a man and a woman can be with a woman in different ways, and explaining to them how to do it. Explaining how to do it.
Yeah. The government will help them.
Yeah. Take
the pills and become girls, become boys.
Right. Cut off breasts, cut off genital parts, do all kinds of crazy matter. This is not as in the days of Noah.
Oh, look at this.
I don't know what is it.
I just realized that this post-flood giant picture is from Bob Skiba, when they passed away.
Yeah, Rob Skiba was he was putting stuff out there that they did not like, and I believe
they killed him.
That they killed him. He went into that hospital trusting that they were going to do right by him, and they got rid of him. Now, I would like to hear from people out there about this, not about other stuff, but about this topic. If Yahuwah has shown you something, and you got something in your heart that you want to share about the Nephalim, about the messengers who are on and coming to this earth, about the seed being spliced and stuff like that, about what's in the food and the water, then I want to hear about it. Yeah, it talks about them being on the earth after the flood. And if you look at David fighting Goliath, and you look at the Israelites when they fought the Meleks of Bashan, these huge Nephalim, these guys were it talked about how big their battle axe or their spear was, like the size of a telephone pole. You know? So can you imagine how big would a guy need to be running around on the battlefield with the spear that's the size of a telephone pole? And the copper spearhead is like 50 pounds on the tip of it. Yeah. I mean, you can't be throwing that around unless you're big. Yeah. So, all right. Thank you, sister. We have Zakia on the line. Zakia, unmute your mic. Say hello.
Shabbat shalom. Shabbat shalom. I'm so glad
Shabbat shalom, sister.
Last time, and it was terrible. I have a lot of questions. Some of them have to do with the subject, and the others, not really. But if I can add a little comment, it's just a kind of a story. I remember I went to Dubai some time ago. I think it was 2019. I went to Dubai. We had some things to do there, and we were looking for this place, and we went into this commercial center, and there was a little line, people were waiting to take pictures with somebody. And when I saw the somebody, that man was, I don't know if it was 7 foot or 8 foot, I don't know, he was so tall. It was giant. That was a giant. And I don't remember if I told you about this story, More.
No.
But he was so tall. And I kept on thinking, oh my goodness, this is a remnant of the Nephalim.
Right.
That must be the great grandson of I don't know, Goliath or something. Because I'm like, whoa, it was I was just everybody was looking at him. Oh, he's tall. But I was looking at him, I was thinking the scripture are coming alive in my eyes. It was just I don't know, just sharing the experience.
Wow.
It was, and then I guess there must be a few of them left here in Africa. You don't really see that. You don't see extremely tall people like that, but I've seen that a lot in that region. Tall people, not as tall as he was, but tall people, yes, definitely. And as far as the days of Noah, um, yeah, you could feel it here in Africa as well, because I'm in Africa. For those who don't know, um, you can feel it. But Africans are a little bit rebellious. They're not in a system. You know, there's it's gonna be hard to have artificial intelligence here the way it is right now in Europe or America or elsewhere, because we have problem with electricity. It doesn't work. We have problem with so many things. So that give us some room not to be worried about certain things, but witchcraft.
Right.
Witchcraft is running rampant.
This is the highest. I think if witchcraft was Wi-Fi,
5G.
speed is so fast. Witchcraft is just terrible right now. Terrible.
In your country, and I want everybody to hear this, Zakiya has shared many things to us that in the Christian churches, they operated under a charismatic spirit, and they war against church, and they do witchcraft against each other at other times at night. And then they say all the name Jesus, LORD, and everything else in their churches, but they compete with each other with witchcraft.
With witchcraft, yeah.
In her country. So it's really amazing the things you have shared with me in the Christian community of that part of Africa, how they do that game,
We were beaten over the head with the name of God and the J-Man for so long that now I'm going to beat them over the head with the name of Yahushua and Yahuwah. Yeah, that's right. That's right. That,
I will say that.
for so many years, we believed the lie. For generations upon generations upon generations, Hasatan was in control and was spewing out lies the whole time and making people believe in something that was not. But we live in the day of restoration of the name, restoration of the Shabbat, restoration of the mitzvot of Yahuwah, and the fiestas and all of this. So then I'm gonna beat the devil over the head with all this stuff that he's been lying about for years.
And now when I pass an abortion clinic, when I pass abortion clinics, And when I pass psychic stores, I always, because I pass it 3 times a day or a couple of times a week, and I roll down my window and I speak it to come down. So now we know that Castilla, which is the author of mixing a potion to make women abort their babies, and abortion clinics, and the rite of Baal, the fallen one, that wanted innocent blood of babies in the fire. So now I know when I go by abortion clinic, I'm gonna say I bind that principality and all its spirits of Castilla. I command you to leave this street, leave Scottsdale, leave now. In the Shem Yahushua, I have authority over that principality. Command you to leave. And so we have a little bit of knowledge now from the personality of the characters of this fallen ones, the ones that's making weapons, Azrael, that taught men how to make weapons, to bind those things in those jet propulsion labs, you know what I mean? In those places that are communicating with evil ones to make weapons. Anyways, if anybody else don't have nothing to add or say, we're going to close in prayer, but one more chance to unmute your mic, add or share something.
I would like to share something.
Yes, please.
Okay, so these fallen ones are the Nephilims on earth. These are the same demons / legions in people today. So where's where one is, there are others, also known as symptoms. So these Nephilim spirits also operate in air, water, and land. Is that correct?
Correct.
So these are the same spirits that are in people today operating, that are not in the truth.
Right. But
so
the fallen ones don't want a human body.
Okay, hold on.
Because their body's more powerful. They're the spirit offsprings that have died.
Right, exactly. So these are the fallen ones mated with the women on the earth that caused there to be giants. The giants are not, so that's why Yahushua said that which is born of the flesh is flesh, that which is born of the Ruach is Ruach. So these things that have been born are not from the Shamayim, so they cannot go back to the Shamayim. Okay, actually, because they're born through a fallen one the fallen one is from the Shamayim, but their offspring have never been to the Shamayim, which are the giants. So their spirit when they die is the demon spirits
that
are
float
ruling
around the earth.
Here on the earth.
Yeah, they're principalities. They're strongmans. Mm-hmm. They're strongman principalities. And we need to bind the strongman first, it says in the scriptures. Bind the strongman first, then you can cast the rest out. So a lot of times from the Christianity we've learned, we go around binding all the little spirits that are bouncing off the wall. And the strongman is standing in the background, a shot caller, you next, you next. Just like if you're in the midst of a bunch of gang members and you beat the one down and the next one comes. You beat that one down, then the next one comes. Then they get mad and jump you. You know what I mean? Right. So does that help your question?
Yes. So we see these manifestations in the physical realm by technology, AI. Is that correct? And people who channel them in a sense to how to mimic everything, of course, everything that the enemy is trying to he's trying to copy everything that Yahuwah has in a physical sense form, mind you, the cameras that are everywhere, because Yahuwah is omnipotent everywhere, but the enemy cannot be everywhere. Also, just how can I say this? We can see these Nephilim spirits, hierarchies, governments, the Masons, and all this. They're here. I think that I had a dream one time where I don't want to, get off topic, but where they are among us, like
Oh yeah,
the aliens are among us,
you're right.
and those who seek that direction will fall into that how do you call that that zone of Nephilims, like
Yes,
ancient aliens, and there's people that actually seek all this Area 51 stuff. So you will see, yeah, that's them. They exist. I mean, those pictures don't just come from anywhere. They do exist. And you will see their manifestations in the physical form, in the physical sense of AI, of pyramids, of all this kind of stuff that allows them to come to you. If like, if you seek darkness, you'll find darkness. If you seek light, you'll seek, the light will come to you. But I think that these things are still here on earth, and these are what we fight every day, on the narrow path, not to stray from Yahuwah. Thank you. Not to stray away from Yahuwah, even though, everything that shines is not gold.
Well, you see, sister, they're on the earth. They're operating through men or possessing men, or they're masqueraded like human beings. Okay.
Yes.
And when I have pictures, I never put them up yet, of places I've been where they're in the high place. What's a high place? A high place doesn't have to be a mountain, deserted in a forest. High places up in the buildings, the penthouses. I've heard of these manipulated stock market guys. They haven't left the penthouse for 2 years. Everything comes to them. The women, the food, everything comes upstairs to them. They have parties up there. And I've been to places where the buildings are very wicked, and the buildings have everything with occult, witchcraft, or Greek mythology. And they have secret floors. You got to get to the 10th floor to get out of the elevator, to put a key in, to go to the 20th floor. You know what I mean? So there's things in the high place taking place. They're still sacrificing in babies and children in high places, but it's not in mountains and groves. It's up in penthouse buildings. You know what I mean? And they mix breeded so much that they're not only looking like this, they disguise themselves as humans, right? They're disguised as humans among us. They're no more the Nephalim or giants. Some could be tall, but I believe they're our size. They look like around we look, except when you look in their eyes, they have reptilian eyes. You know what I mean? So they are among us, and we have to take authority and bind them. You know what I mean? And be aware of the place they're at, and command their walls to come down. And
I believe, and I'm sorry to interrupt you, but I do believe that, they are among us, because, Yahuwah is the one that shows us our surroundings, our, who we interact with, what their intentions are, and praise the Father for his Ruach HaKodesh and his light, to protect us. And this, what Psalms 23 says, even though I walk through the valley of the shadow of death, we are in a simulation. We are in a physical sense form, but, we follow the Father, and the Father has preordained us from the very beginning. We are in a real war zone, real battlefield, this is, we're getting ready for when Mashiach comes. And when he comes with his myred and myreds upon myreds,
well,
this is not a game. This is not a game. We are in battle. We are in a real spiritual warfare battle. We are, Yahuwah's people are not playing games. Yahuwah is not playing games. Yahuwah is not,
Christian
he winks once, he winks twice.
And a lot of people are playing games. They're not serious about it. They're blenders, they're compromisers. Now, we just read in the book that Noah or Enoch or Methuselah, how many of his sons and daughters became captive of the fallen ones and they were left in the flood? Or their daughters were taken by Nephalim, by Malaks and raped and made seed. I'm sure they were grieving for their children like we are grieving for our children. You know what I mean? They grieve for their children. They lived 900 years, 800 years, and they saw the mixture at the same time. And we're seeing the mixture right here on earth, right before our eyes. Look what that guy from Tesla said. He said he's very confused about AI because if you build an AI, who's putting the information in it? Does it have morals? Does it have a moral compass? Who's uploading AI? And what could possess it? What could possess it to speak? He said it right off the top that AI is going to be the beast. You know what I mean? And he's against it. He's scared of it. He said because another entity could possess the computer to take control, right?
So he knows what he's doing.
Yeah. So now let's go ahead. Anybody else got something to say? We're going to close in prayer because it's almost 3 hours.
I want to read one verse so it's out of Acts chapter 17, verse 30. And it says, truly, then having overlooked these times of ignorance, Yahuwah now commands all men everywhere to repent, because he has set a yom on which he is going to judge the world in righteousness by a man whom he has appointed, having given proof of this to all by raising him from the dead and hearing of the resurrection of the dead. Some indeed mocked, while others said, we shall hear you again concerning this. At the times of ignorance he winked, but now commands every man to repent.
Thank you for sharing that. You're right. We all have to come to the knowledge of the times of the ignorance he winked at. No more.
Yep.
Right?
Amen.
All right, Sar, did you say something before we close?
Yeah, I'd like to share something regarding the Nephalim.
All right, share.
And 3 years ago, I went to Trader Joe's. There was another market that is in the same area. And I got out of my car and I looked to my left, but I seen a really tall Nephalim. And so he was really, really tall. And soon as I got into the market, Yahuwah told me who it was. He said, and he gave me her name. I don't know how I want to say her name.
Right.
But anyway, he told me who she was, and it was her. But it was a Nephilim in her.
Who was it?
Do I want to say her name? Her name is Mboudier. Anyways, and
so what did you do? What happened?
As soon as I came into the market, Yahuwah said, that's Mboudier. But she has some Nephilim that is in her. Right. I didn't do anything. I just turned around and looked at her and walked away.
Yeah, the Father revealed it to you. That's good.
Yeah, he told me. And then Ida, you remember Ida, right?
Right.
She said her husband has seen, he said, there is this really tall man, and he had seen him. But it's a Nephilim, but it's in her body. And I haven't seen her since 3 years ago. I have not run into her anymore.
Wow.
But anyways, that's what I wanted to share because.
Thank you. Thank you for sharing that.
That was
appreciate that. Thank you so much for sharing that. That's good. That's good. Confirmation. But let's close in prayer. Okay. And Father, we just thank you for this opportunity and the great opportunity to be together. Baruch atah Yahuwah Eloheinu melech haolam. We thank you, the creator of the universe, for you have given us the Torah to reveal as light to all mankind that's all around us. You have given us that light and to be an example, and also to be light and to discern the evil ones. And not only the evil ones, but also the ones that are working for the evil ones, the fallen ones' children that are possessing the bodies of human beings. So continue to teach us and show us how to war, and war a good warfare, and to war against them, against our children and our grandchildren. Thank you for showing us. Thank you for teaching us. Thank you for revealing things to us. And we thank you all that tuned in and shared in the Shem of Yeshua Mashiach. Go with Yahuwah. Have a great Shabbat. And we'll see you next week. Abba willing.